Hello, hello, hello. Happy Monday night. What's going on, everybody? How are you? Thanks for joining me tonight. Hope everybody had a great Easter. Sorry, folks, you didn't see me today. We had a internet outage. There was actually an accident down the road, and it took out a pole and a tree and a wire. So yeah, it was real. Just went back on a few hours ago, so I don't know what took them so long. But anyway, I'm here tonight. That's all that matters. And again, so are you. I hope you all had a great day so far, a wonderful weekend, and a beautiful Easter with all your friends and family, I hope. And it's great to be back, and it's great to see you all. I missed you guys so very much. These are facts, folks. These are facts. Who do we have here so far with us? Looks like T2014's in the house. Good to see you, Mama Bear. Thank you for joining us tonight. Miss Brandy, always a pleasure. Let's see who we got. Strike First is in the house. What's up, little brother? Miss Sherry, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Mikey, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Let's see. Anybody else? Not yet. Come on, guys. Grab your popcorn, your coffee, your tea, your Pepsi, RC, whatever it may be. Come on in. Have a talk with me tonight. It should be fun. We're covering the true story behind the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre story. Not the sequels, the prequels, the threequels, the fourquels, the remakes. The original, folks. The original story was based on a true, very weird, seriously creepy, real life scenario. So that's what we're checking into, and that's what we're talking about. It's so great to see you too, Mikey, brother. I hope you had a great Easter. I really do. Share this out, everyone. Please, if you would, I'd appreciate that. And again, leave me some DNA on that like button on your way in the door, folks. I really appreciate that. So does YouTube. And don't forget, at the end, if you want to, I would really appreciate it. So does YouTube. If you would please leave me a comment after the fact. Appreciate that. Pamela, thank you so much for joining us, my dear. I hope you're feeling better. Good to see you. Let me see here. Let me get my invites out to the peeps that didn't get the invites. Boom, 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 boom. Where is it? Hope everybody had a beautiful Easter, as I said, as well as enjoyed all your time with your family if you guys did that. I hope. Welcome, Miss Cece. Thanks so much for being here, the sweetest lady on the internet. It is so great to see you. Again, ladies and gentlemen, share this out, please. The more the merrier. Well, sometimes you got to do that, Pamela. You can't always be the strongest and healthiest that there is. You got to take care of yourself when you aren't too. It's okay to not be strong all the time, even though you are a very strong lady, and I know that. Check out our new meatball emoji. I don't see it. Oh, cute. Very cute. Nice. Awesome. So yeah, this one should be an interesting one tonight, guys. This is one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite movies. As you all know, I'm a horror movie freak. This is one of my faves, guys. It really is. Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, the original 1974. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Evil Dead, the original with Bruce Campbell. Those are my top 3 faves, folks. So It really, really, really got me to be able to do this one. What's up, Dustin? Welcome, brother. Good to see you here. Good to see you again. Confused. Good to see you again. Who? So, how's everybody doing tonight? Doing good, I hope. Again, please share this out, everyone. I appreciate you so very much if you could. We got to find our Molly and Pookie. Let them know I'm live. Mrs. M, come on, everybody. Come on in and join us, please.
Last dude's finished most of mine.
One moment, folks. I'm trying to type something here. All right. How's Grandpa Smurf doing? I'm all right. How you doing, bro? I heard you changed your timing up. Your time's up for your shows. I was looking forward to tonight's show, and it's not going to happen now. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And I missed the show this morning then because I didn't have internet, so I didn't even realize until it was too late. But you're dying. Where are you dying, CC? Oh, come on in, everybody. Get comfortable. Come on in. What did I do here? I missed something, I guess. All right. What's that? I'm still trying to do a live at night, but we'll be at locations pending weather. Okay. Are you going live tonight, Dustin? CC and Mom Bear know the large joke. Hello, inside secret. Okay. I'm not in on it then, I guess. More secrets. Whatever. Don't talk to me then. Poof. Fine. All right. Sounds good. Oh, that's what I was trying to message was Heather. What am I doing? Hope everybody did. Who had him? I've been watching this time. Oh, that woman's insane. I can't stand her voice. Good golly. Miss Molly's here. Good to see you, dear. How are you, darling? I hope you had a good day yesterday and you've had a great day so far today. I missed you this morning. It's good to see you. Good to be here with you. Did everybody have ham and all the fixings that goes along with it, or turkey or whatever? We did a ham. My daughter works at a cabinet producing plant per se, and they gave her. She lives by herself. She got a boyfriend, but she lives by herself, and she's always here. So she got a free ham, and it was like a 35-pound ham, guys. It wasn't ridiculous, half a pig. And she gave it to us because she ain't gonna make it. So that's what we had yesterday, and it was really good. I don't need it. I don't need to know the joke. I'm always excluded from the secrets and jokes and stories. You always tell secrets behind my back. You're always doing it, Dustin. I'm really not upset about it. I'm just messing around with you, just so you know. Just so you know. I'm just going to go get another friend. I'm going to find a new friend whose name is Dustin. That's all. And I'll just have a new Dustin friend, and then that'll be that. No big deal. Steak and crab legs. Dude. I am so damn jealous. Do you know how long it's been? I think I told you guys before. Since I've had a steak and crab legs, especially crab legs. My God. I miss all that good stuff. God, do I miss all that good stuff. So did anybody hear the music I was playing in the beginning? Anybody at all? Oh, it's all right. You don't have to, not everybody has to be traditional. Nobody heard that. You didn't hear that? It was kind of creepy sounding. Yeah. That was something I played in on with some friends. I'll give you a little taste of it again real quick here. I thought it was fitting to this, so tell me what you think. I'll play you a little clip of it real quick here. If you can hear it. I didn't play it. I did the drums on this. Derek's in the house. What's up, brother? a little bit creepy. It's called the toy box. Thanks for joining us tonight, Mr. Derek. Appreciate you, brother. Y'all in the creepy mood. That was my thought too, Derek. I have an excellent connection with this tonight. Peace out. Come on in, everybody. Yeah, my buddy Jeff gets us there. Sent it to me this morning, and I did not get it earlier, so I tried to upload it really quick here, and it worked. So there you go, folks. Welcome, everybody. Tonight, as I said, we're covering the true story behind the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I was thinking about me and Caden and a couple friends of mine, because where I live out in BFE. Ooh, Lord have mercy. I'm sorry, guys. Excuse me. And I have a whole bunch of I have a barn behind my property. I have an old barn down the road from me. I have woods everywhere. I have all sorts of fun. Look, I have a lake across the street from me, basically. It's a large pond. I could probably pull off a Friday the 13th type movie if I wanted to, and I have a movie D cam to film with if I want to. That I was doing my initial vlogging that I was going to start with, and I never did it. So I have the camera, and it's sitting here. I was thinking about starting to do vlogs to add to what I do with you guys. You know what I mean? Into my stuff, but I don't know. We're gonna see. And we were talking about doing some type of maybe well, my buddy, the guitar player that does that, a friend of mine, Jeff, he wants to do a spoof movie, like a funny spoof type on a horror type thing. I would prefer to do my own horror movie, but because I could do the makeup and all that. It's something I've always wanted to do, but I don't know. We'll see what happens, guys. We'll see. And of course, you guys will all be prone to seeing it. Of course, you may be in it. Who knows? You may not. You may be in it. I might film a scene where I'm doing something with this, and you'll all be there. So who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Again, guys, leave a little DNA on the like button for me, please. All you lovely, lovely, juicy meatballs. Thanks for jumping in the sauce with us tonight. As we spill some sauce, I can't even spell chainsaw, right? I just recognized that. Jesus. CHIANSAW. The Texas CHIANSAW Massacre. Yes, sir. Where is Miss Heather at? I'll be in it with a large cake, a large Coke. Sure thing. Was it going to be you or my other friend, Dustin? Which one? Ah, my darling Pookie. What is up, dear? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. Well, I won't be good as victim number one. I am not dumb. Number two, I am not blonde. Number three, I am not a virgin. Well, you're out then, Derek. Sorry. Sorry, you're out. Maybe we'll put Cece in it. We'll give Cece a bottle of tequila. Give her some time to drink it, and then we'll get her in the movie. How's that sound, Cece? You're okay, Pookie. Don't worry, hon. We just got started. I just played a clip of a song that we had played, guys I played with, and that was the intro music for this tonight. And you missed that, but that's really about it. Sound like a plan, Cece? Oh no, I don't know, Brandy. It looks like it's time to dye my beard again. What do you think, hon? See the little white patches? Telling you what, guys. Every time I shave this all off like this, it's weird because when I do it, more gray grows in instead of dark. It's pretty soon I'm gonna be all white. Then I'll be okay with it, but you know, it is what it is. Maybe I'll dye. How about this? What if I dye this bleach blonde? All of this, and just leave this dark. Sound like a plan, Brandy? I'll play the slasher or the anti-hero. Sounds like a plan, Derek. No die. I figured you'd say that. Okay. So I'll just look old and wore out. Just for you, dear. Just for you. I can always pull off the whole Guy Fieri thing, spike up my hair, dye that blonde, and all, you know, all that fun stuff. No, we won't do that. We won't do that. Not tonight. So, let's see here, folks. Let me give you a little clip. I know everybody's seen this. I know you've seen it. Would that be like an ombre? I'll be the hot guy who saves the ladies. Oh, I guess I got a lot of makeup work to do on that one then, don't I, Dustin? Oh, ah, Papa Smurf my ass. How's that sound, bro? Love you, brother. I'm just teasing you, bro. You know that. I love you to death. There's a little look into what we're going to be looking into tonight. 1974. It's a great year. You know why? Because that's the year I was born, everybody. Jup, jup. Ooh, you could do a Smurf horror. Yes. Where the Smurfs go insane and they get back a Gargamel and they cut him up into pieces. They're like little rabbit Smurfs running around with fangs and all. Hell yeah, dude. That'd be a funny ass movie, I think. So, check this out real quick. For those of you that have never seen this, I'd be really shocked if you haven't. But either way, here we go. This is what we're delving into tonight, guys.
This is the movie that Rex Reed called the most horrifying motion picture I have ever seen. This film is positively ruthless in its attempt to drive you right out of your mind. It accomplishes everything it sets out to do with brilliance and unparalleled terror.
Sally, I hear something. Stop. Stop.
This is the movie Rex Reed called the most horrifying motion picture I have ever seen. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre from New Line Cinema.
And there it is. And that is the movie. So how many of you guys haven't seen that movie? So that movie, and the movie Psycho, about Norman Bates, where he unalives his mom, kind of keeps her body there, when he dresses up as her and he goes around unaliving other people, so on and so forth. That movie, as well as the Chainsaw Massacre, are both loosely based on the true story about a very, very, very infamous serial killer by the name of Ed Gein, as you all mostly probably know. Ed Gein, folks. Ed Gein is probably, in my opinion, one of the most disturbed serial killers that has ever existed. We have Gacy, we have Ramirez, we have all of these guys, Eileen Warnos, all of these serial killers. This one here, there's something way off with this one and way different, guys, and that is what this is all about. And guys, again tonight, I'm gonna throw this up here just because there's gonna be some possible pictures, some details, some sensitive topics that I'm gonna be talking about. What, Dustin? Can you sit up straight for a minute and smile, please? Never mind. Okay. So there's that. And again, like I said, there was definitely something specifically detached about this guy. I'll be honest with you. And you're gonna hear that story tonight because it was bad. Oh joy, I can only imagine what you're doing. So and now let's get the ball rolling, everybody, since I don't see too many more people coming in here. This is the actual footage of Mr. Gein being arrested, mind you. Get this kicking it off here this way, guys. Ed Gein was diagnosed as having a long-standing chronic schizophrenic condition and was judged to be legally insane, folks. On July 26th of 1984, at the age of 78, he succumbed to respiratory failure and was buried next to his mother. Welcome, Wagon. That is who the welcome, Pink, Peony. Good to see you, and Wagon as well. Thanks for joining us. That is who Leatherface's character is based off of, and I'm going to show you a little bit. It's a little bit offsetting and creepy, but we all know, what's up, Hash? Thanks for joining us, bro. It was great, Wagon. Thank you so much. I hope yours was as well. I guess Miss Heather's busy tonight. That's okay. Give me one moment, everybody. I'm trying to multitask, and we know I can't do that, so I'm working on it. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. All right. All right. That's great to hear, Wagon. That's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that for sure. All right, everybody. Let me get this up here for you guys. Like I said, Ed Gein was a very disturbed individual. In turn, they made this movie in regards to him, which, like I said, it is very loosely based. The movie is very loosely based on the story, but when I say loosely, I mean like the theatrics of it per se. Okay, the things that went on in it are so very true. Okay, so very true. So, one moment here. Let me get you set up and ready to go. And his name, like I said, they came up with they came up with as I said, Leatherface in that character. And that is who it was. Am I missing somebody in chat? Oh, okay, I see who it is. I'm sorry. And because of that, oops, wrong thing. Sorry, folks. What did I do? I hate when I do things like that. Hold on, everybody. I'm sorry. That's who we ended up with was, Mark Leatherface and the iconic character that he is at this point in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But they had their own name for Ed, which was the Butcher of Plainfield. That was his nickname for what he had done, and it was pretty crazy, guys. Why is all of this not? God, I hate my system so much. So in turn, there we go. The storyline. Sorry, guys, I don't mean to sound distracted. The storyline is pretty pretty accurate to the movie. I'll be honest. Okay, as you'll find out, and the characters in it are off too. Okay, they made it more theatrical and more cinema wary of a horror movie per se. But the things that he did and that went on in the movie were pretty close to what went on in that man's life. Okay, Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate that so very much. Anybody that would like to support the channel, please feel free via Venmo, PayPal, and or Cash App. It is so very much appreciated at this point, and I appreciate you. Okay, so where is it at? Here we go. Okay. And like I said, Tennille, Suzanne, welcome. Good to see you again. For those of you that, I don't want anybody to be confused that doesn't know this story or does know this story, that again, Ed Gein's nickname in real life was the Butcher of Plainfield, not Leatherface, not whatever, okay? And it wasn't a whole family of people. It was him for the most part. And he did some things and some stuff, and I'm going to show y'all how it went. I'm going to let this tell you the story first, and we will get to moving on that, guys. Sorry, I'm a little distracted trying to deal with messages coming here and there and this and that, so my apologies, everyone. All right. Again, guys, let me know how the audio sounds and how it all goes. All right. If there's any issues, please let me know. And off we go. I hope you guys enjoy.
Edward Theodore Gein was born on the 27th of August 1906 in La Crosse County, Wisconsin. He was the second of two boys born to George and Augusta Gein. George was an alcoholic, and Augusta hated him for it. They enjoyed the solitude family life and left the grocery store that they owned for a very quiet life in Washoe County, also in Wisconsin. Edward left the family home only to go to school, which was pleasing to his mother, as she did not want her children mixing with others who could influence her two sons. Edward was a shy boy, and people would comment on some of the strange habits. For example, uncontrolled laughter, seemingly at his own private jokes. He was not allowed to make friends, and if anyone mentioned to his mother, she would punish him. Edward was a slow developer, but despite this, he actually did well at school and excelled in reading. Edward adored his mother and was hurt when his brother would openly scold her with his remarks. When the boy's father, George, died of an alcohol-induced heart attack, the brothers went into town to do odd jobs for people. Ed was used as a local babysitter and had great skills with younger children and favoured them above adults. During this time, he started to date a divorced mother of two. Ed's brother was concerned about his attachment to his mother and called him out on this. Then not long after, one day in May 1944, Henry went missing while the brothers were burning vegetables in the garden. Ed called the police and a frantic search took place, only to stop when they grimly discovered the body of Henry. He had bruises on his head, and although the death was put down to a heart attack, later the coroner discovered that Henry actually died of asphyxiation. This seemed to be the start of Ed's crime spree. Mary Hogan was aged 51 and was divorced. She owned a local tavern just 6 miles from Ed's home. On December the 8th, 1954, he entered her tavern while it was closed and empty, and just shot her in the head at point-blank range with a .32 caliber gun. He carried her lifeless body to the truck and drove her away, leaving a blood-stained trail behind him and a bullet cartridge on the floor. Police were not able to find the merciless killer from any of the clues that had been left behind. On the 16th of November, 1957, nearly 3 years after Mary Hogan was killed, in a Plainfield hardware store, the lady owner called Bernice Warden suddenly and mysteriously disappeared. A local resident made a statement to police saying that the truck belonging to the store was driven from the back of the store around 9:30 that morning. Strangely, the shop had not been opened all day. Only when the local deputy sheriff came who was at the time Bernice's son, Frank Warden. He entered the building to find that there had been a robbery. The till was open and money missing, and then the discovery of bloodstains were to start a county-wide search. Frank remembered that Ed had been one of the last people in the store the evening before the discovery of the robbery. Bernice had told her son that he was to return to collect an item on the day of her disappearance. A search was on for Ed. Maybe he was the clue to help in this search for Bernice. The arrest happened on the day after Bernice went missing. Ed was picked up in a local grocery store. Then police had the horrific job of searching Ed's farmland. What they found was a shock to the whole community. The sheriff and his men entered a relatively dark house. There was no electricity, so they needed the use of lanterns and flashlights. And there, in the shed behind the house, they found a naked body hanging upside down from the beams. The body had been cut from the genitals to the throat. The cut stopped there, as her head was missing, and so too were other parts. Poor Bernice was strung up and cut like a deer that had been hunted. The rest of the search turned up some more heinous acts. The majority of the doors had been nailed shut, but were full of junk. The list of items that were found among Ed's belongings were bone fragments and whole bones belonging to humans, a homemade bin weaved of human skin, along with chairs that had been covered with the same, skulls that were dressed on his bedposts, skulls of women which had the tops sawn off, legs which were made of human leg skin, a belt made of female nipples, and many other human parts and ends. He was now given the name the Butcher of Plainfield. What police later discovered was that Ed was in fact a body snatcher. He had exhumed many bodies over the years and used their bones and parts to make items for his house. Ed Gein was arrested and charged with the two murders, that of Mary Hogan and Bernice Warden. The other victims were not named, and Ed's body count is unknown. Since being charged, the police have now attributed his brother Henry's death to him too. It came to light that the two women that had been killed by Ed resembled his mother. He admitted that he was responsible for both ladies' murders, but pled not guilty by reason of insanity, and was deemed unfit for trial, so was confined to different psychiatric institutions until 1968, when he was told that he could stand trial. He defended himself and was found guilty and imprisoned, but had to return to a mental hospital not long after, where he stayed until his death in 1984 of cancer. His body was buried in the family plot, but his headstone was vandalised. Since then, his grave has remained unnamed.
I'm like, all right.
That is the basic.
All right.
Bert, you going to bed? I love you. The basic version of who he is. Okay. Let's see here. Let me give you guys a little bit of something to look at. And this is where the trigger warning comes into effect, guys. I want you to be prepared. There's some disturbing, and I mean disturbing things that this man did. He took the people that he unalived, and he would keep their skin. Okay, as you've seen in the definitely not a Christmas horror movie. He would keep their skin, and he would do things with it and their body parts and things that you just don't do. Okay. And again, it's hard to look at this This old guy this guy sitting here in this picture. It's just I don't see who he really was in this face, guys. I mean, he's definitely different. Like there's something going on, but I don't see what he did in those eyes. Okay. What's up, Chick Antique? Thanks so much for joining us. Good to have you here tonight. So yeah, it's not typical stuff, guys. But that's the man. And we go from that to this. See if I can blow this up for you guys any bigger. No, it's not. It's a bad picture, but these are some of the things that were found, okay, in his home when they. Oh, you're talking about my. I'll explain that here in a few, Hash. Um, when they went into his home and found the things they found. These are just a few, and this picture's horrible. So let me find you a better versions of these guys. I'm not real sure that this came out of his home, but this is the type of stuff he did, everybody. Okay. He made clothing and household items out of people's skin, guys. I mean, look at this. This is disturbing. Very, very disturbing. This was tagged as something that was in his home. I don't know if this was or if this wasn't. Okay. All I'm saying is wow. Okay. That's all I'm saying. Uh, it's beyond sick. Okay, this is from what I understand, this was one of the masks that he made, and I know this to be true fact because this came out of a case file. So this is somebody else's face that he decided that he wanted to wear. Okay, Dustin, thank you. Um, yeah, I got you, Hash. I think a lot of people felt that way. I'll be honest with you. Again, folks, something else. This truly happened here. This is a lampshade, you guys. Okay, on a lamp. Again, trigger warning for anybody that is a little skittish with these things. I'm just saying. These things are crazy, folks. It's beyond horrible what he did, Dustin. It really is. Beyond horrible. All right, guys, hold on a minute here. Let me bring this back down for you. Bring up the rest. I got more pictures, folks. Again, trigger warnings. This, okay, this is the one of the things that disturbs me the most. As I told you, kind of like along the lines where they had come up with the movie Psycho, okay? They kind of pulled it from his story, and this is why. This is what he would do after he unalived his mother. He would dress up as her, just as Norman Bates did in the movie, but he used her real body, folks. And it's pretty disturbing too. And like I said, this was found in his home. This is real, you guys. This is real skin. Okay. It said that this was his mother, and this is what he did. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Now that look right there, I see something different in him there. Okay. I very much do. I'll be honest with you. This is the mask. Okay. This is his original mask and the one that he wore all the time. Hair and all, everybody. I mean, this guy was out there. Okay, he was definitely out there. Um, there is the belt. This is real. He made a belt out of nipples, human nipples, and there it is. And he wore it. He wore it, folks. I'm just whoa. Okay, very sick, very demented. This man, if he hadn't passed away, I don't see how he could have ever. Yeah, we're gonna get into that here, Pink. Um, I don't see how he could have ever existed in humans in society, guys. Again, something else that he made. This is a chair. He made multiple pieces of household furniture out of people, folks, their skin. Again, trigger warnings, guys. I'm sorry. I mean, but this is what he did. I mean, it's insanity. It's utter and plain out insanity. It's crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Um, if I can find it, I have all sorts of pictures, guys. Okay, this shows um, a bunch of different things. Okay, I have a singular picture of this. This is something he made. He made a lamp out of a human spine and their skin, literally. Okay, this is the separate picture of it. These things, you guys, I'm not positively sure that this happened. Okay, but he did make clothing. He did make masks. He did do lampshades. He had the chair. He made lamps. I think these things are things that people are just showing. And I don't believe these are made out of real human skin either. Just this. This one isn't either, but there is an actual lamp picture that he made that's like this. I've been trying to find it, and I can't directly. Oh, there's that again. Sorry. Where the hell is it? That's another angle of that chair that I was showing you guys. That to me is completely insane. Yeah, that's an understatement, Pookie. That is an understatement. I mean, look at this, you guys. The time that it took this person to do this. Oh yeah. They said when they went into his home, the smell. Nope. And I've been on some pretty raunchy. I showed you guys that already. Some pretty raunchy sites, smell wise. Okay, but I can't imagine. I cannot imagine what that was like. I don't know if I want to. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I want to know. 1958, by the way, there was like a little poem or a little saying, a limerick, I guess, whatever you want to call it, that was out. There was once a man named Ed who wouldn't take a woman to bed. When he wanted to diddle, he cut out the middle and hung the rest on in the shed. That was out in the 50s. My parents told me about that. Can you believe that kind of thing? After he had done what he did, this is what they did. People did with that, you know. What possesses the person to do so? He was very, very detached, and he had his childhood wasn't the greatest, I guess. But I mean, come on, guys, come on. You know, it's crazy. All right, and let me give you some more little stuff here. Trigger warning. Again, these are items that were found in his home that were made out of human beings. Kind of hard to see the picture, but and again, our moderator Miss Rachel Lynn, her great uncle is the one that arrested and took him in and knew him too, because she was from that area that Ed lived in. Oh yeah, there was a window shade that was made from human skin. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's hard to read. Drawstring, a lampshade made, of course, human face, fingernails from female fingers, a pair of lips on a window shade. That's creepy. A belt, as I showed you, from the nipples. Like I said, I have a bunch of little things, and then I have another story for you guys to listen to. Sorry, folks. Back cash. Most people, if they had surprisingly, even in the United States, people like that sometimes don't make it. And I can see how I would understand that, I guess you could say. Trying to find my other download I had for you guys to look at. One moment here. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. All right, guys. I'm trying to get. I had two versions of this. I always try to give you as much as I can with it, and this was the other. Just trying to show you some stuff in between. Oh, shoot. Sorry, everyone. All right, here we go. All right. Make sure you get the subtitles this time. Sorry about that last time. And we're good.
His twisted world became America's obsession. And what is at bottom, the story of a boy and his mother, became the template for half a century of horror.
There's something about Dean that appeals to the morbid curiosity within all of us. It's so macabre, so bizarre, so deviant that we can't look away.
You know, Mr. Young, So what kind of a man did you know him? Well, very nice man, just like anybody else. The only difference is that man, he can laugh.
No one ever claimed that Plainfield, Wisconsin was a small-town paradise. In the fall of 1957, it was home to about 700 people, a quiet, hard-working place on the windswept flatlands of central Wisconsin.
They had the main hardware store for that area, a food market. They had a restaurant or two, a saloon. There was nothing that would distinguish it from, probably 100 other communities in Wisconsin.
That all changed over the course of one cold weekend, with a mysterious disappearance and a shocking discovery. Saturday, November 16th, marked the beginning of an annual Wisconsin ritual. Deer season. In Plainfield, the men hunted not for sport, but for food. Their trophies would be killed, hung in barns, and dressed out, gutted and butchered.
All the males would be out in the woods. And so the main street would be a quiet place.
Particularly quiet that morning was Bernice Warden's hardware store. Though the store was supposed to be open, the 58-year-old proprietor was nowhere to be found.
I lived across the street from the hardware store where Bernice Warden ran her business. I believe it was in the afternoon. People were starting to wonder why the store was locked and where was Bernice Warden.
So her son came back from deer hunting himself.
I agree,
and found that the place was a mess. There was blood all over the floor, and they started to investigate what might have possibly happened to her.
Interviewed by police, Bernice Warden's son mentioned a frequent customer who'd been in just the day before to check on the price of antifreeze. Ed Gein, a 51-year-old bachelor who lived in an isolated farmhouse outside of town.
Everybody had a role to play in this town. And I think that Ed Gein was recognized probably not as the village idiot, but as a village oddball, I would say.
That evening, about 2 hours after Bernice Warden was reported missing, Sheriff Art Schley headed out with another deputy to Ed Gein's farm.
If you ever wanted to have a Halloween party, that would be a great place for it. It was a spooky house out in the edge of town, and it was dark, and there wasn't a sign of life there.
The doors of the house were locked, so the officers decided to take a look inside the woodshed.
They went in investigating with flashlights. It was pitch black because there was no electricity and no lights. And one of the lawmen felt something bump against his shoulder. He turned, shined his flashlight on it, and indeed, there was Bernice Warden, hanging from the rafters, upside down with her head off and gutted like a deer.
Ed Gein was taken into custody that night. As he sat quietly in his cell at the Waushara County Jail, police continued to search his woodshed and then cautiously ventured into his home. Inside, they would discover a horrific scene. Bernice Warden's gutted carcass, it turned out, was only Ed Gein's latest grim creation. On November 16, 1957, the quiet farming town of Plainfield, Wisconsin was abuzz with rumors about the murder of one of its residents. Bernice Warden's mutilated and decapitated corpse had been found that night in the woodshed of 51-year-old Ed Gein. With Gein now in custody, police prepared to enter his house for the first time. It was a cold, dark night, and the place had no electricity. The officers had only lanterns and flashlights to illuminate the scene.
Well, Gein's entire house was in a state of really unimaginable squalor. It was so completely overwhelmed with the trash of a decade.
It was chaos in terms of housekeeping. Well, you don't keep house. The kitchen was a jumble. Everything, there was dirty things here and newspapers laid up here and junk all over the place.
But the officers discovered much more than mere filth. In plain sight, scattered throughout the house, was a ghastly array of human remains.
Investigators were completely stunned and appalled to discover this incredible collection of human body
Right,
objects.
Red.
And among the things they found were bowls that had been made from the tops of human skulls.
And then they found what looked like trinkets, but it was like a string of nipples from breasts, all on a string.
They found a shade pole that was made from a set of women's lips.
And they found other body parts there. Then you'd go out into what would be like a living room, and they found furniture, a lampshade that was made out of human skin, chairs that were upholstered in human skin.
They found face masks. Gein had apparently flayed the skin from the heads of the victims and preserved them and stuffed them with paper and hung them on the wall as decorations.
Each disturbing discovery seemed to top the previous one, until finally, one officer came upon a brown paper bag.
He opened the paper bag and saw a hank of human hair. And as he himself later described it, said he had no idea what possessed him to do it, but just sort of reflexively, he reached in and pulled this thing out.
To his horror, he discovered it was a woman's face. Worse yet, it was someone the cops recognized, a local bar owner named Mary Hogan, who had gone missing 3 years before. For 30 hours, the man apparently responsible for this gruesome spectacle sat in his jail cell, refusing to speak to investigators. Finally, they confronted him with Bernice Worden's corpse. And with that, Ed Gein began to come clean.
He was perfectly happy to cooperate with the police. You know, all he asked for was a slice of apple pie with some cheddar cheese on top of it.
And according to the investigator, Ed ate the thing. And after that, he told them anything they wanted to know.
They said, well, what's all these body parts in here, Ed? You know, how many people did you kill? All the dead stuff in his house. They just assumed that it was like murder victims.
All told, Gein would confess to only 2 killings, Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan. The rest of his grisly artifacts, he said, were crafted from corpses he had stolen from local cemeteries.
Plainfield woke up that Sunday morning to find out what had been living in their community for all these years, and that was Ed Gein.
My dad, he couldn't tell us what had happened. He just said, I want you to come in and watch the news tonight with me. And the news came up on the television. He was the person. I just said to my dad, oh my gosh, that's Ed.
We were all upset. We were all devastated. We were horrified about what had happened. It was a terrible, horrible thing.
It was just such a complete shock. I guess it was something that was a little bit difficult to talk about.
It wasn't just the murder of Bernice Worden that was so
a lot of his stuff, Dustin, I read a lot on him over the years, but a lot of his stuff he was a grave robber, but he didn't steal like personal items. He stole bodies and body parts, and that's what he did. So that's where a lot of the stuff and the jewelry that he made, and I mean, it's insanity. That's what he did. It's crazy. All of it. Oh yeah, I know. I was just thinking that, Pink. Because, you know, nobody really does that anymore, but apple pie with a slice of cheddar cheese. It's supposed to be very good. I've never tried it, but I've heard that it is.
disturbing, and it was the other terrible things that he did that was upsetting so many people.
I mean, this is a guy who had been living in their community almost all his life and been a babysitter for their children, had been eating at their table. Look what he did and how he did. They couldn't believe it.
Well, I figured you're perfectly harmless. Rather simple.
Plainfield's shock would soon be America's. Almost immediately, hordes of reporters descended on the town. It was the beginning of Ed Gein's transformation from anonymous psychotic to cultural icon. And it could all be traced back to the story of his childhood. Because in the words of Norman Bates, a boy's best friend is his mother. In November 1957, the gruesome tale of Ed Gein was making headlines across America. The country's morbid fascination with the man the papers were calling the Mad Butcher of Plainfield was not lost on author Robert Locke, who was living in Wisconsin at the time.
It was exactly the time that the Gein case was breaking in the newspapers, and Bloch immediately recognized that it would be a wonderful basis for a horror story.
The result was Bloch's 1959 novel, Psycho, which Alfred Hitchcock would bring to the big screen the following year.
The story of Psycho is the story of Norman Bates, a single, deeply disturbed mama's boy, for lack of a better word, who runs a hotel and murders unsuspecting young women who cause him to have any sexual urges or impulses.
One of the main things that Bloch took from the Gein case was the psychological relationship between Norman and his mother, which very much parallels that between Annie and his mother.
Augusta Gein had been dead 12 years when police entered the house she had once shared with her son. As they worked their way from room to room, searching for clues that might explain what would drive someone to commit such crimes, they came upon a doorway that had been boarded up.
And by that time, of course, they had seen so many horrific things, they had no idea what they were going to discover behind the doors of this room. And when they broke it down, what they discovered was that it was a room that was kept in a state of perfect, pristine preservation. And that turned out to be the room of Ed's mother.
The bed was made. There was a table, night table. I had a Bible on it. The room was very dusty, musty. The wallpaper was sort of a rose-tinted thing, but it was all kind of discolored. And that was his shrine to his mother.
After his arrest, Ed Gein underwent a month-long court-ordered psychological evaluation. It was here that a picture began to emerge of life behind closed doors on the Plainfield farm, and Ed Gein's descent into madness. Born in 1906 in La Crosse, Wisconsin, Edward Theodore Gein was the son of an alcoholic grocery store owner and a strong-willed, God-fearing housewife. When he was 8, his mother Augusta insisted that the family leave their La Crosse home.
One reason, apparently, she insisted that the family move from La Crosse was because, in her mind, you know, it was like Sodom and Gomorrah.
The family dynamic grew stranger and stranger.
Mr. Gein had a very strange relationship with his mother. It was a love-hate relationship. He listened to her and worshipped her and followed her very closely.
She was religiously devout, if not fanatical woman, very, very domineering, very, very strong-willed. I mean, she completely dominated her husband, as well as her 2 sons, Gein and his brother Henry.
Augusta would preach a lot out of the Book of Revelations that said that women were whores, women were tramps, women were definitely evil beings out to, you know, hurt people.
The Gein household really became a sort of breeding ground for psychopathology. You have these 4 people stuck together, completely under the sway of this woman. So it really becomes an incubation place for madness.
Gein attended school until the age of 14. An unremarkable student, his IQ would later be tested as...
yeah, Stacey, he did. The one picture I showed, there was a pair of gloves.
He just went home then and worked on the farm there. So he did not have contact with the outside world, shall we say, to any extent.
In 1940, when Ed was 34, his father died of a heart attack. Now it was just Ed, mother, and older brother Henry.
I think Henry was probably a genteel man who worked hard on the farm and tried to please his mother as well. But he wasn't Ed. He had his own ideas of how his life should be led.
In May 1944, Henry and Ed found themselves battling a brush fire on their property. According to Ed, the fire got out of control and he lost sight of his brother. He went for the police, and though he told them he didn't know where Henry was, he was able to lead them straight to his brother's dead body.
I've heard rumors that there were bruises on Henry's head that weren't ever explained away. But at the time, it was such a big tragedy for the family. It just
the story that I read, based on police files, was that they truly believed that he got into a disagreement with his brother because his brother was telling him there were stories that I guess Gein had told them. They didn't have any truth to it because they didn't get to talk to Henry, his brother, but that he had beat his brother with a tree limb to death, basically, and let him burn. And that supposedly Ed started the fire. So supposedly, this is all alleged. Nobody knows the truth. but these are stories, guys, that come from this. I can't imagine the PTSD they had after that discovery. And Dago, at the end of your live stream, show people the pic I made for you so they don't get nightmares, get people laughing. Yeah, I got you. So yeah, and again, it was said that at some point throughout his life he was jealous of anybody that was around his mother besides him because he was that close to her. Again, like the Norman Bates character in some senses. So it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's sad, disgusting, but it makes sense.
Became, several
Ed and Mother were now alone, but their union would be short-lived. Just months after burying her son Henry, Augusta suffered a stroke that left her partially paralyzed.
When Mother became ill, had a stroke, and was paralyzed, he cared for her very closely and literally seemingly worshipped the ground she walked on.
Sometime in 1945, Augusta Gein suffered another stroke. She died that December, a devastating blow to her 39-year-old son.
His mother had completely undermined his manhood in every way. And at her funeral, he was reacting like a little schoolboy who had just lost his mommy, and just crying hysterically.
Everything that he knew in the world seemingly was gone. That was his one link with sanity that was remaining at that point.
Until 1945, Ed Gein's world had been entirely defined by his deeply religious and domineering mother. Her death that December left him for the first time on his own. Living alone in an isolated farmhouse outside Plainfield, Wisconsin, the 39-year-old earned money by helping the townspeople with odd jobs or working on threshing crews.
From the time I was pretty small, Eddie Gein was always just, part of the crew. From where our farm was, he was about 2.5 miles away is all. And we'd get in the car and go over and see Eddie. We'd pull into his yard, and I can still remember doing that. And Eddie would always come out and talk to us in the yard. So we never was in his house or anything like that.
He was not the village idiot. That's for sure. The housewives in town, they would trust him. Can you fix this? I got a door that squeaks at, or, can you fix the hinge on my door? Sure, I come over.
He was a hard worker. When you paid him $1, you had $1.50 worth of work out of him. I mean, he didn't slack off. He wouldn't screw anything up. I think that everybody treated him, even though he was maybe a little, what you would think, a little different. But Eddie was Eddie.
Oftentimes, when the threshing crews broke for lunch, the women would provide them with meals.
When you listen now, the women that would talk about it, they felt kind of funny when Ed would look at them. He would give off kind of a funny, it made him uncomfortable the way he would stare at them.
Something about his eyes that bothered me. I didn't feel like he was a person I would trust. Strange.
There was what the police called a mammary vest, the upper torso of a woman that Gein had taken from the body and preserved and attached straps to. And then there were leggings that had been made from the skin of a woman's legs.
And at times, it was reported that he would sometimes walk around with this mammary vest that he had managed to make from female anatomy, and he would attach it to his body.
And apparently also sometimes take one of the female genitals that he had removed from a corpse and stick those on himself as well and pretend to be a woman.
Eventually, however, violating the dead was not enough to...
In one of the stories that I read, you guys, as I was explaining, when he did that, he would in turn act like his mother, and he would have conversations with himself or have conversations with his mother as he was wearing her. I was wrong earlier when I said that was her. What I was trying to explain, I'm sorry, I should have said this differently. That face and the chest suit that he had was not from his mother. He would put it on and he would pretend to be his mother, and then he would talk to himself, which is where the whole Norman Bates thing came from, as his mother, because he was lonely, and he would do other things with it too, sadly. Yeah, okay, but so I misinformed you guys when I said that. I didn't mean to do that. I was trying to explain something and I didn't say it because I was distracted. So my apologies, guys, for not coming off correct with it. But still, this is what he would do. Like I said, he would have conversations as if you've watched the movie Psycho, where you would see Norman Bates talking to his mother as he's dressed. They'd show it off screen. This is what Ed did. He would discipline himself as his mother. So I mean, it was just it was a real deep psychological aspect, and it was very. I can't. I've read on mental health. My wife has 2 degrees in psychology. I've seen schizophrenia. I understand this, that, and everything else. This goes to a level that I've never understood, guys. Never. Like the depths his brain had to have been disturbed in are deep, and I mean deep, folks. Very deep. Yeah, we're not gonna go there, Dustin. I'm just saying, I'm not going to even gonna remotely speak about that because I can imagine. I very much can imagine. And again, remember, he was obsessed with his mother. He worshipped his mother. Okay, and there were some very unhealthy things that were talked about that he may have envisioned with his mother. I'll just put it that way.
To satisfy Dean's morbid urges. It was around this time that he began patronizing Hogan's Tavern, a local watering hole owned by the bawdy, tough-talking Mary Hogan.
That was one bar that hunters would, after you hunt long all day, you generally stop and have a soda pop. And I recall she was very huge and very jovial and joked a lot. Her nickname was Bloody Mary.
Mary Hogan was indeed a dirty talker. She spoke in profanity like a truck driver, a sailor, or whatnot.
I think when Ed Gein saw Mary Hogan, he saw some kind of grotesque, dark mirror image of his mother.
On the afternoon of December 8th, 1954, a local farmer stopped into Hogan's Tavern to pick up some ice cream for his daughter.
He goes into the bar, and he knew immediately that something was wrong. There was blood all over the floor, and there was money on the floor, and he just turned around and beat it out of there.
Mary Hogan was nowhere to be found.
When Mary Hogan turned up missing, it was talk about, they said they felt she'd been murdered, and she just was missing, and they just could not find her to go to heck for it.
Police explored what few leads they had. Ed Gein was never questioned. No one considered him a suspect. It was too far-fetched to imagine that the quiet, hard-working bachelor could possibly be a killer.
I can still remember somebody said, well, I wonder where Mary Hogan is. Oh, he said, she's over by my place. I said, I got her over there. And everybody said, oh, yeah, Eddie, you got her. Yeah, we know Eddie, yeah.
As the leads petered out, it started to look like Mary Hogan's disappearance would remain unsolved. Until the night of November 16th, 1957, when police found her face in a paper bag in Ed Gein's kitchen.
Maybe he felt he wanted to incorporate her into his home, and this was his way of bringing home a bride. But he brought her home as a corpse.
As 1957 drew to a close, the people of Plainfield, Wisconsin were still reeling from the nightmare visited on their town. Ed Gein had been charged with the murder of hardware store owner Bernice Warden. But the discovery of his many other hideous offenses had brought instant infamy to Plainfield, along with a horde of reporters from around the world.
This was the crime of the country at this particular November in 1957. And it just brought in basically the Western world's press.
Have you ever been in the man's house? Yes. Never been in there. I'd like to talk about
as the incident wore on and it became so much a front page issue that lots and lots of people were saying, when can it just die down? When can it go away?
It was disturbing to the population. We didn't really appreciate all of the media attention.
I was stopped on the street once by a reporter from England, but I just said that I had nothing to say, no comments to make, and walked on.
Outside of Plainfield, a different kind of response was taking hold. The spread of what came to be known as Gein humor.
Well, I believe that the jokes sort of was an outlet for how everyone felt and the fear that they felt.
One of them was, what was Ed's favorite dessert? And he says, ladyfingers.
Ed Gein gave his girlfriend a present on Valentine's Day. It was a box of Farmer's Fannies.
Good to see you, Jody.
There were actually people thrown out of the restaurant in Plainfield for going and ordering Gein burgers and things.
Just a whole spectrum of those kinds of sick humor jokes that you couldn't think about fast enough to respond to the one that would be given to you.
There's Miss Rachel. That's what I was telling you guys. Miss Rachel here. I'll show you. I'll go back and show you. It was her great uncle that had arrested Ed. One moment here. I believe it's this one, right, Rachel? Or was it the other one with the Art Schley? Yeah. Yep, there he is, folks. That's our Miss Rachel's great uncle. She was the arresting officer. And again, this was a small town, guys. So these people knew him too. Like from, being in the town, living in the town, they knew who he was. And, these are all local folks. So that's what I thought. Yeah, I had told them earlier, Rachel, that your uncle had arrested him and transported him and so on and so forth. So pretty wild, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Let me back to where we were. I think we were right here. Yeah. Thanks for jumping in, Rachel. I appreciate you listening, hon, and speaking up.
That afternoon, the judge ruled that Ed Gein was legally insane and therefore not competent to stand trial. He's moved to the criminally insane, a psychiatric hospital in central Wisconsin.
Rachel says that he was with him from arrest to court. His main duty was to keep him alive, although I'm under good security of knowledge that he'd be. I'll bet he did. A lot of people, and see, guys, back in the 50s, things like this were just like, what, it's bad. So I'm sure he did, Rachel, because you don't do things like what this guy did and think that you're gonna get away with it, So I can almost imagine that one, hon. I really can.
For the people of Plainfield, life after Ed Gein would never be the same.
We never locked our doors before this happened, but we began to lock our doors. The 50s was an era of innocence, I believe, and it's pretty much ended that.
Still, there was one last piece of business for the town to attend to. On March 30th, 1958, Palm Sunday, Gein's farm and personal effects were scheduled to be auctioned off. But in the early morning hours of March 20th, residents awoke to a strange orange haze blowing a few miles out of town.
There will be an auction here Palm Sunday, but this house and the personal belongings of Ed Gein will be conspicuously absent. Call it an act of God or whatever you will. The main attraction will be missing, reduced to a mass of rubble by a mysterious fire.
Just hash. I read stories where they had found like pots on a stove or on a fire. I want to say like a wood stove. Okay. That what's up, Broadmoor? Good to see you. Absolutely. And that they believe that like he would boil and make soups and stuff like that. I don't know how true that is. I don't have like proof, you know what I mean? But these again are a lot of the rumors that came out of it. Yeah, there it is. Like she's saying, it was said that he did give his neighbors and friends venison. He called it venison. We'll say, just put it that way. Okay, so it is what you take from it, I guess. So, and like I said, well, I mean, everybody out there, we're hunters per se, but yeah, I'm going to venture to say it wasn't venison. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. Box of fannies tickled my fancy. Right. That's what I was saying. Everybody was a hunter in that area at that time. I mean, that's what they did there. I mean, it was, as you saw in the interviews, all of the men that they were talking to in the black and white interviews, they all had hunting caps on and hunting jackets, and that's what they did. It was a town for that. That's what it was based on. You know what I mean? And just like they said, the bar owner that he had unalived, all the hunters would go there for a soda pop or whatever else it was that they were drinking per se, because back then, it was a thing to not drink, and prohibition was still pushing its way in some of these small towns and stuff like that. So, I mean, it is what it is. But the house, I'm going to let you hear the story on that, CC, but Rachel's right, guys. It was an interesting scenario, to say the very least.
News of the fire reached Gein himself later that morning.
I went to Ed's room and I told him that his house had burned down. And he made a gesture just as well, the exact words that he said.
In the end, after a brief investigation, the cause of the blaze remained a mystery. Residents of Plainfield were just happy the place was gone.
The people in Plainfield were so happy that this house burned.
And the rumor is that the townspeople burnt the house to the ground because they didn't want it there anymore because of the horror that came from the house. Okay. Truth behind that, I can't tell you. I don't know. And I'm sure that nobody's would have ever admitted to that because it was a crime, regardless of the scenario. But I'm pretty sure that the town burnt the house to the ground because you don't want to have that kind of a thing in your hometown or in your town. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't eliminate the fact that the things happened. It illuminates the place where it happened so that you don't have to drive past and go, oh my God, here's this or here's that. And plus it avoids because they didn't want the attention that they got, as you had heard that lady say. They don't want the reporters there asking the questions that they were doing. There was people coming from England, guys, overseas to cover this case. Okay. They didn't want the attention. This was a small country hunting town. It really was. They minded their own business. They stayed to themselves. They didn't like outsiders, that would come in and do what they did. So again, burning the house to the ground is going to keep people from wanting to see the house, on top of that. So just keep that in your perspective as well. Broadmoor, what's up, Broadmoor? I thought I said hey to you. I'm sorry if I didn't. Can you imagine building a house there not knowing the history? Yeah, I know, honestly.
Burned down, and this was going to go away. We weren't going to be bombarded by the media. We were not going to be having tourists come to Plainfield to see Ed Gein's horror house.
The auction of Ed Gein's estate still took place as scheduled on March 30th. Gein's grisly handiwork was not up for sale. All the human remains had been shipped off to the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. Yet that didn't stop hundreds of curiosity seekers from descending on the farm.
One of the things sold at the auction was Ed Gein's car, which a very enterprising carny type immediately purchased and started to take on tour.
Ed Gein's car used to show up at county fairs, like an exhibit, like the two-headed cow, or the.
Oh, okay, Broadmoor. Thanks, bro.
That would be an exhibit that you could put a tent around it and charge admission.
At Central State Hospital, staffers soon came to view Ed Gein as something of a model patient.
Ed was a quiet individual. He'd go and sit in the corner in the day room, and we had some nice lounge chairs out there, and he'd read the paper there. He wouldn't converse too much with other patients. I can remember we used to play cribbage together out in the day room.
There were, however, times when Gein behaved oddly.
When it got, say, full moon, he would talk about women, what he'd like to do to them, and just ramble on and on, just like very incoherent. And then as the full moon dissipated, he would get more back to normal. But he always had that glint in his eye that you kind of figured there was something there that was wrong.
In 1968, Gein's doctors wrote a letter to the court stating that Gein was now competent to stand trial for the murder of Bernice Worden.
When he walked into the courtroom, there was dead silence. It was just You could hear a pin drop. And then he walked in and he stopped a little bit and he bowed his head to the audience.
After a 9-day trial, the judge found him guilty. The 62-year-old was sent back to Central State to live out the rest of his days. In time, Ed Gein's macabre fame would fade, yet his twisted saga would never lose its capacity to shock or its power to provoke our deepest fears. By the early 1970s, an aging Ed Gein was quietly passing his days in a Wisconsin mental institution.
He'd go to his room a lot and lay on the bed and kind of daydream. So I don't know what he was thinking about. I couldn't read his mind, but we always had the thought that he was thinking about what he had done.
Gein and his gruesome crimes had long since faded from the public consciousness. Yet the story of the so-called Mad Butcher of Plainfield had firmly taken root in the darkest reaches of the American psyche.
It was a time where he became almost unlifelike, almost like he was a creature of fiction, I think. Some type of a demigod almost.
My name is Gunnar Hansen. In 1973, I killed 4 people. I was Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
When Texas Chainsaw Massacre was released, it played predominantly in drive.
Not really, Jody. I'm guessing just that there was something, a chemical imbalance, and the way that his mother was as he was growing up and the way she would preach to him and the things she would teach him, you know, that's why he was afraid of women and that women were the devil and people were the devil. So, I mean, it's all based on that, I'm guessing. Okay. And then when his mother died, he snapped. I mean, that's what did it. He was a recluse. He stayed to himself and didn't have anybody to talk to. And, you know, he snapped. So, and he, you know, living the way he did for the years that he lived, it is what it is. He got too far into his mind, in my opinion, and he was too alone too much. So, it's very possible, CC. It's very possible.
And to say there was an uproar over it would be an understatement. You know, teenagers went in their cars looking for a good time, and what they were exposed to was literally 90 minutes of pure hell.
Directed by Tobe Hooper, the film featured a character named Leatherface, who wore a mask made of human skin.
During the filming, late one night, Tobe told me that this was based on Ed Gein, very loosely. I mean, what he said was that Ed Gein was the inspiration for the family, that if you take essentially the fact that they made furniture out of bones, that they had skin lamps, that they might be cannibals, and that Leatherface wore a mask, those characteristics were lifted from Ed Gein. What
Leatherface really is Ed Gein as a little child would imagine him to be.
Because these crimes were real, we had to make Leatherface into this hulking monster who wears a mask of human flesh and wields a chainsaw, instead of being the boy next door who does these horrible things.
17 years later, a different take on the legend of Ed Gein would help make the film The Silence of the Lambs a critical and commercial hit.
If you look at The Silence of the Lambs, where the Buffalo Bill character is trying to make a skin suit out of women's body parts, which is something that's based directly on Gein.
The killer, the grave robber, all of the things that, you know, you want to get into a good horror story. He was there. He was their source, because the imagination could take Ed Gein anywhere, and it has.
The irony is that as twisted as Norman Bates was, as terrifying as Leatherface wielding his chainsaw is, and as pathologically insane as Buffalo Bill is, Gein was worse. Gein had everything these characters had in spades.
And that's what I'm saying, guys. And that's what I was saying in the beginning, is that all of these movies were based loosely on Ed Gein himself. And if you notice from watching the movies, and you know who Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs was, you know, it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose, that guy. These people were all homicidal maniacs. As this guy just said, Ed was worse. If you can imagine that. Knowing what these movies were, knowing what these characters were, imagining a real life character is Ed Gein times 10. Okay, that's how bad it was, guys, and it's just like, whoa, just knowing that a human being was alive, that had that thought process and that lived that way. It's like, good God, that's all you can think of to say. It's like, good God, it's insanity. It really is.
2001 saw the release of a low-budget independent film about the life of Ed Gein.
I thought Ed Gein would be a good topic for a movie just because of the mindset of this person. This person who lives by himself with.
His brother supposedly died there was a brush fire that they had supposedly, Pookie, or Jody, I'm sorry. And the story that I read, the files that I read, I'll just put it that way. The story I read was based on police files. That it was wholeheartedly believed that Ed beat his brother to death with a tree limb and set the fire himself to cover that up. And then he had claimed that they were fighting a brush fire and that his brother had fallen and he couldn't find him. But when he went to the police after the fire, he led them directly to his deceased brother. So that you put that story together for yourselves, and just that's my thought on it. Rachel states that there are stories of him possibly also kidnapping a few missing kids too. I did see that as well. They never could put that together. But yeah, I read that as well. That Wisconsin authorities had believed that it was possible that there were some missing kids and that he may have been responsible for it, sadly. So there's a lot to him, guys, and to his life story. It's really, really crazy. It really is. Yeah, that's it right there, Hash. 100% a real boogeyman, guys. This Ed Gein was and is, in my opinion, the boogeyman, period, in real life. Any horror story you could ever tell, any ghost story you could ever tell, any haunted story, in a campfire story, any story you could ever tell would never beat the story of Ed Gein's life. It's pure and utter insanity. And it is horrific, folks. It's horrific.
With his fantasies and with just his loneliness and his mental illness, eventually steps over the line and becomes a killer.
On July 26, 1984, Ed Gein died of respiratory failure. He was 77 years old.
There wasn't too much emotion at that time. There wasn't much talk going on in town other than he's gone. He's dead.
Ed Gein ended up.
I'll have to pull out my uncle's memoir that was published and never published and get some stuff from it. Absolutely. That would be awesome, Rachel. That would be absolutely awesome. If and when you ever feel like doing that, I'd love to get together with you and go over and we can revisit this again and talk about it some more. Because no matter how many times we look at this, guys, it's never going to get any less horrific. And knowing more truth to some of the things that we have questions about in this would be absolutely awesome, in my opinion. So thank you for that, Rachel. I absolutely am looking forward to that, as I'm sure many people are. Absolutely, hon. We can put something together and go over it and see what we can do. I'm down for that, for sure. 100%. So thank you so very much.
Being buried in the most appropriate place for him, right next to his mother in the Plainfield Cemetery. You know, ever since her own death in 1945, it had been his great dream to get back to her. And finally in death, he had achieved that.
Sometime after his death, Ed Gein's tombstone was stolen from the ground. It was eventually recovered and is currently being kept in storage at the Waushara County Sheriff's Department. To this day, however, groundskeepers at Plainfield Cemetery still find flowers and letters that have been left at his grave.
There's no way in the world that anyone could ever decipher completely or even intelligently what Ed was thinking or doing. It's not the nature of man to do the things that he did. it's an aberration.
The fact that Ed Gein was a sick man mentally, I don't think that mattered to any of us. He did some horrible things no matter what his condition was, and so we had no sympathy for the man.
Mr. Gein was an example of a monster that was in hiding. He was not known to his neighbors. He presented a facade of normality to them, and that's why he literally could have the mask of sanity over the whole situation until he was discovered.
Obviously, we can never really know. To ask what made Ed Gein is ultimately as unknowable as to ask what made Mozart Mozart. You just don't know.
And this is another one, you guys. When I've said that I wish that with some of these people that they would have saved their brains and study, to be able to study the electronic impulses that their minds have, and to be able to plug these into their minds into a TV and just watch. Could you imagine? I mean, it would be totally enthralling to me to be able to sit and study the mind of this man, just to see how, why, and where his thoughts came from. You know, it's pure insanity. It really is. There it is, guys. Ed Gein. The truth behind the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, guys. All right. So, yeah, it's a level of insanity that I don't think we'll ever see again. He took bodies, body parts, skin, bones, whatever it was, Jody, whatever it was. In turn, that's the Butcher of Plainfield. That's where that came from, guys. For sure. For sure. Okay, so does anybody have any questions in regards to this, or thoughts or opinions or anything, guys? I mean, let it rip. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this one. For those of you that didn't already know, but I'm sure everybody has heard, you know, Ed Gein this and Ed Gein that and so on and so forth, and not known Ed Gein is, you know, the real Leatherface per se, or the basis behind the story of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, and I think it's really cool that Miss Rachel's uncle was his private, well, basically his security guard and arresting officer at the point where he had to stay with him through the court, because they were basically, as Rachel had explained, they were worried that people were going to try to kill him. And so they had to have him with these officers on a regular basis until he was sentenced to prison. Excuse me. Oh, you had asked me, I think it was CC. Hold on. One moment here. I think how many victims? Well, he only admitted to 2, Broadmoor, as far as the unalivings. That was what he admitted to. Nobody knows. And a lot of the stuff that he had, where he had taken their bodies, their skin, the bones, whatever he had taken, came from like grave robbings. He would watch the obituaries and watching to see when people passed, and then as soon as they were put in the ground, he would hurry up and go, and he would take their bodies or parts of their body. I believe he'd take the whole bodies in some senses, and would take them home to him and do whatever he with them and do whatever he did with them as they were still fresh, which is insane to me, but you know, it is what it is. Um, and nobody really has ever given an actual number on that, Broadmoor. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot, though. There was a lot of different things they found at the house that said, hey, you know, this is another person here. He had multiple sets. Well, you saw the nipples for the belt. There were the one, if you guys, what's up, April? Thanks for joining us, hon. If you guys don't know, like a pull shade in the older houses, they had like a window shade that typically would have a string on it. Okay. He connected a pair of women's lips to the string, and that's what he used to pull shade for the pull shade on his window. It's crazy. I think this has a picture of the gloves that he made out of human skin, CC. I'm trying to show.
Seemingly peaceful home belonged to no other than Ed Gaines. For those that know of him, know there was absolutely nothing peaceful about this home, located in Plainfield, Wisconsin. Some creepy things authorities found in this house of horrors include a few chairs upholstered with human skin,
No, see, there's one of the chairs he had done also.
a belt and a corset made of severed nipples, and from human skin he made a pair of gloves and a lampshade.
Well, there's the gloves, CC, and again the lampshade.
These findings and his acts inspired 6 of Hollywood's most.
He made bowls out of human skulls that were cut. From my understanding, he made silverware from human bones, or eating silverware type stuff. It wasn't silver, but you know what I mean. So yeah.
Those famous horror films. Can you guess this one?
That's the one mask that they kept that for whatever reason. That was the mask that he would wear on a regular basis.
If you're curious, you can see these gruesome findings in Watoma, Wisconsin, in the Washata Historical Museum.
And they do have that. That's what I was going to tell you guys. If anybody is close to Wisconsin, he did have a car, Pookie. They had auctioned it off. Watoma, Wisconsin, or Watoma, Wisconsin. They have the historical museum there. They have some of the things, that mask, the facial mask, the gloves and stuff, they have there, I believe. So, pretty wild, guys. Pretty wild. Lena, good to see you, my dear. Thanks for being here tonight. Appreciate it. A skull to make guacamole. Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure he didn't make guacamole, but yeah. So there it is, everybody. I don't think there was anything left, Jody. He would take everything and break it down and use everything. Like I said, you would boil the bones down and he would make utensils and tools out of them. As Miss Rachel had accounted, she said, you know, that it was known that he would take and give venison to his friends, his neighbors in the area. It wasn't venison. Okay. So there was probably nothing really left of the bodies. And he would make clothing and furniture and whatever else he could do. It kept him busy. I'll just put it that way. So good deal, Jody. Thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate it. I know you have issues with some of this kind of stuff. So, and a lot of people do. That's understandable, guys. If everybody's okay with this to the point where it's like no big damn deal, something's not right with that. It kind of is like that, Dustin, the House of 1,000 Corpses in some senses. I mean, I agree with that one for sure. For sure. Wait a minute here. What's going on here? I can't. Why? Hold on, everybody. I'm sorry. Trying to pull up this email Mr. Dustin gave us or sent me. Why am I signed out of my email account? That's just weird.
Yeah.
One moment, everyone. Sorry, guys. I don't know about that one. It very well could be. Maybe the brother couldn't take any more of Ed, and Ed disposed of it. From what I read, Broadmoor, there were some issues with the brother stating to Ed that, you know, you're odd, you shouldn't do this, you need to do this, you need to do that, and the brother would kind of pick on him a bit, and I guess he just got tired of it. So yeah, if I can get into my email, I will. I don't know why I'm signed out of it. And of course, I don't remember the password. Let me see here. It's an odd scenario. I don't understand how or why that would happen either. That's pretty weird. Let me check something here. How would you like to camp there and have a seance? I don't know about that one, Pookie. Oh, okay. I got into it here, so I don't know why I couldn't on the other side. Okay. You're a funny guy. Well, Dustin, Mr. PPR over here, decided to do a little artwork tonight, guys. If you can see it. Papa Smurf, Meatball King, that's me. Funny, funny, funny guy. Looks pretty good, though. So that's me, I guess. Papa Smurf, the Meatball King. What it is. Funny guy. You're a comedian. If you just rolled up in an RV at midnight, PPR, and lie and say you're out of gas, look what's mess with you. Yeah, well, it's very possible. I am muted. Thank you, CC. Yeah, we don't know for sure that it really wasn't Jody. That's the thing. Who knows what all went on that people don't know about? You know what I mean? But like I said, hopefully you guys got some form of entertainment from it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's not enjoyable per se, but it, or fun. But it's nice to know the actual story. And it's a crazy one, guys. It's definitely a crazy story in my opinion. I know the first time I heard the story of Ed Gein, I think I was probably 12. And in my opinion, that's not even something a 12-year-old should know, because it's really, really dramatic, and it can cause, mental pictures. That'll mess up a 12-year-old's head. So, just saying. Just saying. Let me see here, guys. I'm trying to find. So, who here in chat has any ideas about Thursday night before we do a poll, guys? Any ideas, anyone? Oh, I'm absolutely sure if you could have, Jody, you definitely would have. As would anybody, I would think. Thank you, Cece. I do appreciate that, my dear, as always. But does anybody have any ideas for Thursday night before I throw them out myself? At all? Okay. Elena says no. Dustin says he's talking about Jonesboro or Jim Jones, the Kool-Aid inventor. Thank you, Cece. I appreciate that. Again, if anybody would like to support or donate to the channel, it is appreciated. Anything is appreciated at that point. And I thank you so very much. There's links for Venmo, PayPal, Cash App. Also, you are able to send super stickers and super chats. That is also so very welcome and appreciated. For sure, folks. And I do appreciate you. So we got the Jonestown. That's one option. Again, guys, if you happen to see any ads come through, give me a yell. Let me know you're getting them. Yeah, Jonestown was crazy, folks. It really was. Let me see here. Something just blew up somewhere down the road. It was loud too. Lord have mercy. And like I said, not everything has to have a horror tinge to it, guys. There's true stories, movies that are based on true stories that you guys would not believe that were, true crime. Didn't always involve serial killers or how can you put it? Horrific scenarios either. There's a lot. The movie Below, that's based off of a true story. Goodfellas was based off of true stories. The Untouchables, that's based off a true story. There's a lot of different variations of movies that, like I said, not just horror movies. They just tend to be a lot of them because of serial killers. But so we got Jonestown. Okay, that's one. Well, let me see here. Well, I guess what we'll do then is I will take Dustin's recommendation and the story it's called there was a movie put out called Night Stalker. It's about Richard Ramirez. who was another quote unquote serial killer per se. Anything about the ocean or space? Lassie done a few villainous films. Yeah. Right. That's what it. Lassie actually pushed Timmy down the well, and then she went and faked like she didn't know what was going on. Anything about the ocean or space? I'm not really too sure, Lena, but I'll look that up. That's a good. In fact, let me write that down, hon, because you know what? That's interesting to me as well to know if there's anything. The ocean or space? It's not so scary, huh? Ocean, space, true stories made on movies. Good call, Lena. I'm going to look that up this week and see what I can find. I don't even know. All I can ever remember was, are you talking about Rin Tin? Rin Tin Tin, the cop dog or whatever it was? All right, so we got Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker killer, is the first one we're going to look into. Red Dragon. Yeah, we can look into that one too. I mean, we kind of did the basis of that based on the Silence of the Lambs scenario, but I can give you guys a look into Red Dragon, the story itself, and the basis of the true story behind it. For sure. That's something to look into for future events for sure. A good idea, Pookie. You can see you guys got some good stuff, guys. And again, like I told you guys before, this is your guys' channel. I just run it. That this channel is set, made, and built for you and you guys alone. This whole community. So that's why, guys, by the way, I got some good news. Saturday night, me and Miss Mama Bear and Pookie and Miss Molly and there's a couple others that were in and out of there. We figured out how to do it, how to work it, and what to do. And we are going to be starting within the next week, probably. Next week, I'm going to say for sure. Our movie nights, guys. We're going to have the link set up. So if you guys are not members right now, try to become a member because it's going to be for members only. We're going to do movie nights. And we're going to link it through the Discord because when you become a member, you get the exclusive rights to be in Discord with us on a regular basis. So we're going to do our movie nights through Discord because YouTube doesn't allow for that. And what I'll do is I'll go live, put a link out, and get everybody in, and then we'll jump in and we'll sit here and we'll watch these movies together, and it's pretty cool. Me and Pookie and Mama Bear and Molly, we sat and watched a movie. What's up, Inanna? Yes, Inanna Shu. The Cali experiment. Oh, okay. Thank you. Let me write that down. It's bordering on. Okay, I'll have to check it out. Thank you so much, Inanna. But yeah, and Rowdy's in the house. What's up? What's up? Good to see you. So yeah, we're gonna be able to do these movies together, guys. Sit here and watch a movie, enjoy it. We can still chat in the Discord. It is free to download, guys. If you're a member, it is a nice perk to have because you can hang out with us all day long in the Discord chat. You'll know ahead of time certain things that we're going to do before we do it. You'll have inside info into certain cases that we're working on beforehand and after the fact. And you can just have generalized conversations with us all throughout the day, guys. So become a member if you have not done so. It's definitely got its perks. And like I said, that the movie night is members only, unfortunately. But it's going to be a good time. Like I said, me and Pookie and Mama Bear and Miss Molly sat for a good while and watched a bit of a movie, trying it out to see how it worked. And then we can watch different pieces of like unsolved mysteries about cases we've looked into too, guys. Things like that. It's a good thing to have. So the member perks are getting better and bigger. It's good to know and good to have. So we got that worked out, and that's going to be starting up, I'm going to guess, next week. I'm hoping for sure, and that way I can have everything set. Miss Heather has us linked with our movie, the places to get the movies to watch, and it's going to be a good time, guys. We're going to have a good time for sure. So something else I can enjoy with all you guys. So that's going to be coming up this coming week. I hope you guys are excited, because I know I am for sure. Excuse me. Let's see. Everybody on that one. That's a good one. So as far as Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker killer, the true story behind that, 80% yes and 20% no. And let's see, Jonestown, which again it's the true story. Is just like the movie, guys. It's the story about Jim Jones. He had a cult following. It was based on a religious following, and he unalived. He talked about a load of people into unaliving themselves, supposedly with him, by drinking the Kool-Aid. That's where the whole phrase for that came from, and basically poisoned all these people and he talked them into believing that they were doing it for God, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting story. It is. Again, if you want to watch the movie, we're going to cover either both of these at some point in time. Eventually, it's just we're choosing now which one we're going to do. So as of right now, Ramirez, or the Night Stalker, has 80%, and we're going to check out Jonestown right now and see what you guys think. It was horrifying, this one, in my opinion, because there were women, children, and everything involved in this. So Benji, there you go, Lena. So it's horrible, guys. Oh, big time, Inanna. Yes, there was a lot involved in that one. So let's see what happens, everybody. And again, I want to thank you all so much for joining me tonight for this. I appreciate it. I enjoy doing these with you guys the best way I can. You know, YouTube only allows for certain things, so it takes me a while to form it to be the right way, to be able to put it out here for you guys. Some of this stuff is just too much, you know, and they don't want it out there. So, but I enjoy telling these stories to you guys. It's something that I have a passion for knowing, and I like having to be able to put it out for you guys to know as well. So, and it's another good way to spend time with you guys too, because you guys are the awesome community that I have here, and the beautiful people, as I call you all, and I love every one of you guys to death for what you, just for hanging out with me, guys. It is an awesome thing. You guys are all amazing people. So vote on this one. Who's the man? Are you taking off, Miss Sherry? Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sherry. Everything being as it should be tomorrow, I will be here with you guys early afternoon tomorrow between 12 and 12:30 for our normal everyday stream that we do. We'll be looking into some stuff that we've been looking at, and I can't wait to hang out tomorrow with you guys. So thank you so much, Miss Sherry, for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I love you so much, my dear. Jim Jones lived in the same town as my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side. I got you, April. Right, they had no choice. It's a very sad scenario, it really is, but there is a story behind it, and I would like to be the one to tell you guys the story if you want to hear it. Definitely would like to. Have a great night, Sherry. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. And that's right, April. That's what it is, guys. And it shows you guys, you know, with us all being in here, hanging out, doing what we do, we have these scary people that walk among us and we don't even know it half the time, guys. It's sad and it's a scary thing knowing that these people walk the streets. They shop in stores with us. They sit in restaurants next to us. They go to the movie theaters and sit next to us. They're out there, guys. They really are. And it's a freaky thing. Again, guys, tonight also, while we're waiting on this chat, Mr. Dustin, or the Professional Paranormal Research Channel, as I'm always advertising, somebody could drop that link for me here, is going to be live here in a little while. Again, we usually jump over to his stream after Monday night stream because he goes live on Monday nights, and they usually have a really good show. A lot of times I'm on panel with them talking about the other side of my passion, which is the paranormal, and I love it, guys. I do love it. We have a good time over there. Miss Cece's usually over there with us, Miss Heather. Quite a few of the community goes over there. If you don't yet, you should definitely check it out, folks. If you haven't checked out PPR's channel, Professional Paranormal Research, jump over there, show a little bit of love, subscribe, and hang out for a bit. You guys will really like it, I'm telling you. It's always a good time. I don't know what he's got going on tonight, but you know, it's always interesting. Like I said, I'm always usually on panel over there. I enjoy it greatly. There we go. Thank you, Miss Cece. There's a link, folks. Check them out. It's a lot of fun. I'm hoping to enjoy myself as I always do when I go over there here in a bit. Hopefully I'll end up on the panel as always, and we can get some interesting subjects talked about, guys, or we can just, there's always something fun going on over there. I'll be honest with you. There really is. So check it out, folks. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Sounds like a plan, brother. Sounds like a plan. Well, if there's a link that you have to drop or somebody does, I'd be glad to go over there and help out. In any way I can, if you need me to. All right. Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. Is Vicky running things tonight, Miss Vicky? Or I'd be glad to help them out as much as I can. I appreciate you, bro. So, guys, if you're not doing nothing, if you're bored, if you're going to be awake for a while, come check us out over there. It's always a good time. Please do. Sounds good, brother. Sounds good. All right, let's check this one. Yeah, if you guys have any interest in the paranormal whatsoever, we always got it going on over there. There's a lot of really great people over there, too. Like I said, our communities are kind of blended now. My moderators have become moderators in Dustin's channel. Dustin is obviously a moderator in here, as is some of his one or two of his moderators, and we're all just kind of blended together. We kind of support each other and hang out with each other and do what we can do. So it's always a good time. Jonestown, 61% yes, 38% no. 80-20, 60-30. The percentage is 30%. So it looks like Jonestown won. There's a bigger percentage here. So looks like we're doing Jonestown, folks. We will catch up with Ramirez. Well, wait a minute here. Oh, no. Wait. I wasn't reading this correctly. I'm wrong. So, it's going to be Ramirez. I'm sorry. Ramirez is the winner. But again, we're still going to do Jonestown down the road. So don't think you're losing out. So yes, the Night Stalker, guys. Richard Ramirez, that serial killer, is who we are telling the true story about this coming Thursday night. So tune in, join us 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, just as tonight, and we'll go over that story, folks. Can't wait for that one. That's your homework, is to watch. If you get a chance to watch that movie, check it out, or read the story, or know anything about it. There was 2 movies put out, I believe, but I'm going to tell you the true story. So, all right, folks. Does anybody have any questions, qualms, theories, anything at all you guys wanted to bring to me tonight by chance? Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like it at all. Was the clown theme nixed altogether? Not necessarily, Pink. Why? What do you got going on? What are you thinking? I mean, we can do something. Clowns are clowns, you know, good or bad. See, we got these kind of clowns. What about suspected portals? As far as what, Lena? Now over at Dustin's channel, we've talked about portals over there for sure. So you might jump into one. Sure. That's okay, Pink. Oh yeah, I love that. It's one of my favorite masks. I have a collection of masks. I have lots of them. Most of them are packed away, but I have a few that I have out in my den with the rest of my toys and all my fun stuff. It's on display for Halloween and stuff. So I have I think I had showed you guys around Halloween. Some of you guys that were here, I have a 7-foot tall cutout of Jason Voorhees that looks real that I had standing behind me the one night during Halloween. It was kind of hard to see, but portals move as the earth moves. You could stuck. Oh, there you go, Pookie. Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about being versed on movies, Pink. It's not a big deal. If nothing else, at least you'll learn it. You know, you'll know the story and then know the movie if you ever want to see it. So tired of Earth. So, all right, guys. Well, I think that's going to do it for tonight. Once again, I appreciate you guys all for being here with us. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. And I am looking forward to tomorrow. Hope to see you all there that can be there as we go back to our norm. And then again, we'll be back here Thursday night doing this again. So you guys, please don't forget to love yourselves, to love each other. Don't change a thing about yourselves because you are the beautiful people. I love each and every one of you guys, and I appreciate everything you do for this channel and for me. I am so proud of this community. And once again, thank you, moderators, for everything you do. You are amazing, and I love you all to death. You guys have an amazing rest of your night, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye now.